Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
And wow, that was a pretty ridiculous game, if I do say so myself. This ends up being a 10-run game, 6 home runs from the Mets in a game that got the debut of their 22-year-old prospect in Jonah Tong, but almost kind of becomes an afterthought in this one because of everything that went down. The Mets just scoring at will in the first 2 innings of this game. 5 runs in the first, 2-run homer from Soto, a 3-run bomb from Brandon Nimmo, and then they follow it up in the second inning with 7 runs. And before you know it, he is staked to a 12-0 lead. And Tong definitely did not disappoint either. 5 solid innings of work as he earns his first career win. It gets a little off the rails there toward the end when both teams start using position players on the mound. The Mets pound out a couple more home runs and a lot more runs in the 8th inning, 6 to be exact. And then the Marlins score 4 off of known reliever Luis Torrens. That was not a decision that I necessarily loved. I'm going to be totally honest with you, but all in all, the Mets come away with a 19-9 victory. Jonah Tong earning a win in his first MLB start. Not a whole lot to complain about other than the Braves being absolutely useless and scoring only 1 run and losing to the Phillies again. But on the bright side, the Cincinnati Reds did lose in extra innings to St. Louis, so the Mets did increase their lead for the 3rd spot in the National League wildcard up to 5 games. So, hey, we'll take it. Like I said in yesterday's stream, bad loss yesterday. Let's see how the Mets bounce back. Good vibes seem to be back after the nice start from Tong, and the bats just absolutely erupting, knocking the Marlins starting pitcher out of this game with just 1 out in the first inning. And then even the reliever couldn't get through the second inning for them. So hopefully the Mets bats saved some runs for the rest of this weekend as they look to win 3 out of 4 and hopefully gain some ground on the Phillies again. If Atlanta could maybe help us out a little bit, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Anyway, guys, what is up? I am Tony Metro. Welcome to the stream. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every Mets game. You can also follow me on all the other platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Link to those are in the description below. Leave this video a like. Go ahead, do that right now. Really appreciate it, guys. Helps get this out to many more Mets fans. You guys may not realize, but I had this channel going years ago. I repicked it up here at the beginning of this season here in 2025. I was at 1,200 subscribers. We're now up above 2,400, so we have more than doubled where we were at when we began the 2025 season. So thank you guys so much for subscribing, for tuning in, for liking and sharing these videos. Couldn't do it without you guys. And speaking of you guys, let's go to the chat. Armand, what a game indeed. I mean, like, I was listening to Howie Rose while watching it on TV there, and Howie was not happy that they were using the position players on the mound. And I agree, the novelty is worn out. And by the 8th and 9th inning, I was like, come on, can we wrap this up? And I even got a little nervous when Torrens couldn't get an out and he was giving up bombs. So happy that they did come away, obviously, with the victory. But yes, what a game. Nice debut from Jonah Tong. We're going to get deep into that for sure. Earl D, what's up, Tony? Not the way any of us pictured it, huh? No, definitely not. We were hoping Tong, 5 innings, 6 innings, maybe a run. He ends up getting charged with only 1 earned run, but 4 total because of some sloppy defense that reared its head again there in the bottom of, or the top of the 5th inning, something the Mets desperately need to clean up coming on the heels of yesterday's game as well, but did not picture a 19-run outburst from the Mets. Definitely not. Absol, 10,107th game in Mets history, and the first time they scored 12 runs in the first 2 innings. They scored more runs than they ever scored in a home game. Yes, that is correct. The most runs in a home game for the Mets in franchise history. What is it now? 67 something years, I believe, somewhere around there. So, wow, this offense really outdid themselves. And it's funny because yesterday kind of had the brakes put on them. You know, you got the 2-run double from Nimmo, the 2-run shot from Alonso, but other than that, not a whole lot to write home about the Mets offense yesterday. And then they come out and they explode against Yuri Perez, who had pretty good numbers coming into this game. So I was a little surprised to see the offensive outburst that they had. But yeah, some great stats there from Absol. First time they've scored 12 runs in the first 2 innings in 10,100 franchise games. Crazy stuff. Polar Pete, it's crazy how you just changed it from last season when we lost yesterday You said it's fine and you were the biggest believer. Now, how did I change it all? Polar Pete, I don't know what you got twisted here. I said yesterday the season's not over, that the division is not over. I said let's see how they bounce back the rest of this weekend. They got to take care of business. The job's not done yet, by the way. They got to go win tomorrow and Sunday, and let's see what happens out in Philadelphia with the Braves. You could go watch the stream back. I'm not the biggest believer. I'm just telling you how it is. This is where we're at right now. Earl D says a win is a win. Absolutely, a win is a win is a win. I'll take it any way we can get it. 19-9, just not the way I thought it was going to go down. Our mom, per Anthony to come on, the Mets have scored 19 runs tonight. Well, I think we all could report that. But yes, Anthony says the most in team history in a home game. Yes, that is good reporting from Anthony. CB24203, what is up? Holy crap, that game that wouldn't end. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, in that 8th and 9th inning, I'm like, all right, come on, let's go. Save some runs for tomorrow. Let's just be done with this. The game that wouldn't end. Absolutely, CB. Absol says Mets never had a season where two of their starting pitchers won both of their on their MLB debuts. So another nice little stat that we got there in their MLB debuts. Nolan McLean doing it a couple weeks ago against the Mariners at Citi Field. And then today, of course, Jonah Tong doing it. Absol says Tong went 5 innings, 1 earned run, no walks, and picked up the win. Not bad for the first time. I think Tong had a little bit of jitters. I think he was maybe overthrowing a little bit. He was missing glove side. He was missing arm side. So I think that there were a little bit of jitters there for Tong. I think he was trying to keep his composure. You didn't really see him crack a smile or anything out while on the mound. And you know what? The Marlins lived true to their name. They put the ball in play a lot, so it wasn't the most dominating performance like what we have seen from Nolan McLean so far in his 3 MLB starts. But you could see he's got some pretty decent stuff. And I even think he might have been a little upset with himself for just missing on a few of his spots. But you could see he's got some nasty stuff. The curveball that he broke out today, really impressive stuff. But I think the best is still yet to come with Jonah Tong. He had a couple of really solid innings there, and then he had a couple where he had to work out of traffic, and that's something that a good big league pitcher has to be able to do as well. So nice debut for him. Let's see. CB Tong dealt with 2 long delays and still only gave up 1 earned run, and that was a concern I had with the Mets scoring 5 runs in the first inning, a pitching change, and then again 7 runs in the second inning, another pitching change. I was worried, hey, how long is Tong going to be able to go? Is this going to get in his head sitting in the dugout for so long? Almost impossible to mess up a 12-run lead after the second inning, but then again, the Mets will find a way to do anything that should never happen, right? But I was concerned, hey, how is he going to respond going back out there after such a long rest sitting there in the dugout? But really not a bad performance at all. Not the most dominating performance, but really, really, I think, good quality start from Tong. Happy he was able to get it through 5 despite the Mets defense kind of letting him down there. Pete, Lindor, keeping that inning going, allowing those unearned runs to score, but glad he's able to get through 5 and earn the W. Let's see. So Tong went 5 innings, 1 earned run, no walks, picked up the win. Not bad for the first time. And that's probably the most impressive thing to me about Tong is that he didn't issue any walks. And that has been a huge part of Nolan McLean's game so far in his first 3 starts as well. They're attacking the zone, and they are not afraid to put their stuff best foot forward. Here you go hit it. The Marlins had a couple of hits, but overall, I love the demeanor. I love the just kind of presence out there on the mound from both these guys. So really, really solid and impressive start from a 22-year-old that, I'm sorry, Tong looks like he's 15 years old. I mean, he looks young. So really crazy to do that in front of a full sellout New York crowd in the middle of a pennant race. Let me get back to the chat here. Armand, Jonah Tong and Nolan McLean both successfully with wins in their first starts. Yes, so both of them with first wins in their first MLB starts. First time that has happened in Mets history. Let's see. Madeline Schmidt, Jonah, and the Reds lost. Very nice. Absolutely, Madeline. Yes, nice to see that the Reds lost 7-5 in extra innings to St. Louis. St. Louis is, I actually think, they are just slightly behind the Reds in the wild card by 2 games. Who knows? Hey, we might be wanting to start thinking about St. Louis if they take care of Cincinnati over this weekend. They would actually leapfrog them in the standings. So just something to keep in mind. But unfortunately, no help from the Phillies or the Braves tonight. So that is frustrating for sure. But like I said, guys, Mets just need to take care of business. They need to mind their own house. house. They need to win these next 2 games now against the Marlins. I said it yesterday. It sucked, and the Phillies had a historic day, but if the Mets take care of business here over the weekend, it'll be a matter of time. I think the Braves will break through for at least 1 game against them over the weekend. If not, maybe even both, but maybe not. The Braves have not looked good against Philadelphia, but the Mets just need to keep stacking W's here in the final month of the season. Let's see. Absol picked up another one from the Reds. Yes. Excuse me. So we are now 5 games up in the National League third wild card spot. So 5 games up on Cincinnati. So we don't get it from Philly, but at least we do get some help there. Polar Pete, I'm from Canada, so I'm probably going to be the greatest Jonah Tong fan. I love it, dude. I'm so glad to hear that. Tong looks like a stud. That's cool. You're from Canada. He's obviously from Canada. I mean, crazy the ascent this guy has taken through the minor league system to be making his MLB debut at 22 years old. Crazy stuff. 97 pitches, 63 strikes, right around where you want to be in terms of your strike to ball ratio. I think, again, just some jitters, a little bit of nervousness. I think even when you get staked to a big lead like that, it's just not normal for a starting pitcher to have a 12-0 lead after 2 innings. So I think, we'll probably see a more normal performance from Jonah Tong the next time he makes a start, which he should now be a part of this rotation. I don't see why not. We'll see how the Mets navigate it, if they do a 6-man thing and keep Senga and Holmes in there. But I definitely think Tong and McLean are going to be in this rotation here for the month stretch down the way. Let's see. Armand says, breaking news per Anthony Tacoma, Jonah Tong is staying in the rotation and the Mets will be going to the 6-man rotation. Carlos Mendoza said it at the post-game presser. How about that? I was just a few seconds late to seeing your message, Armand. Appreciate you, my man. Yes, there we go. So I just said it, and I guess Mendy must have heard me. Tong is in the rotation. McLean is in the rotation moving forward. The Mets will go to a 6-man group. Again, I've said it. I think Clay Holmes should be sent to the bullpen at this point. I would like to see him just continue to be stretched out as a long man there, especially with Huascar Brazaban down for a little. Just like this camera's down right now. Oh my gosh, is that a little better? I think it should be. But I think the best move is to put Holmes back into the bullpen and let him just piggyback off of, Senga or off of Manaya, who haven't been giving you any length, but the Mets are going to do the 6-man thing, and we'll see how it works. Mark Rapp made my name easier for you. LOL. Let's go, Mets. Mark Rappaculucciola. I can't do it. Dude, thank you. I appreciate it, Mark Rapp. That very, very, very kind and thoughtful of you. All right, so let's go over here, not over there. You don't want to see this mug that much, right? Anyway, what a game for the Mets. I mean, up and down this freaking lineup, the Mets just absolutely destroy the Marlins in this game. And obviously, the box score looks a little closer in the end because you have Luis Torrens throwing the final, or getting an out there in the 9th, but not before giving up 4 runs. Ryan Stanek coming on. Maybe we found the new role for Stanek, mop-up duty after the position player pitches for the Mets. But, crazy win. Most runs in the first 2 innings for the Mets in their franchise's history. The win for Jonah Tong. But look at this lineup. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you have so many pinch hitters coming in to get some of the regulars off of their feet. But Lindor 1 for 3 with 2 ribbies, that double, and plus a walk. Very quietly, Lindor average up to 269, OPS up to 796. Love to see it. Juan Soto getting the fireworks started with a 2-run shot, his 33rd home run of the year in the first inning. Added another hit, 251 average, 884 OPS from Soto. Love to see it. Cedric Mullins, even a pinch hitting opportunity, man, can't buy a hit, 0 for 2. But Pete had the home run. He ends up 3 for 6 in this one. Vientos, 2 for 4. He adds a home run off of a position player, so we don't count that one so much. And then, of course, Nimmo with a huge day. 3 for 4, including 2 home runs. That puts him now, I believe, at 22 for the season, but I could be wrong. But, I mean, wow, just up and down this lineup. Just a ridiculous day. I think that would have made it 6, 7 home runs for the Mets. I believe at least 6. So that would make the 3rd time in the last month the Mets have had a 6 home run game. And the last time they did it before this season was in 2019. So really crazy. The Mets are kind of that feast or famine offense, man. They either are going to bop 5-6 home runs a game, or they're not going to do very much. Get shut down by the Nationals bullpen a couple weeks ago, right? But Let me go to the chat real quick. Joe, Mets should pick up Walker Buehler, 10-3 in the postseason. So Walker Buehler was released by the Red Sox today, and there have been some Mets fans that are saying, why not take a flyer on him? And I mean, it's not the worst thing because, hey, he's going to come for free. You know, the Red Sox are paying him his contract right now, but it's been a bad year for Buehler, and he has just not been that same guy ever since he had Tommy John surgery. You know, he burst onto the scene in 2019, was absolutely electric for the Dodgers. He was a part of that World Series team last year, but even last year, only 75 innings and had a 5.38 ERA. I mean, you could see the line of demarcation right here. 2022, it's just been basically all downhill for Walker Buehler. Last year, 5.38 ERA. So, I mean, look, it's not the worst idea, and who knows if you could squeeze an inning out of Buehler as a bullpen weapon, maybe not the worst idea at all, honestly. I mean, would you rather take a flyer on Walker Buehler or hope that Huascar Brazaban's oblique is okay and that he can actually return to being an effective reliever, which he hasn't been since the beginning of June? So I don't hate the idea at all of the Mets taking a look at Buehler, but my expectations or hopes for him would still be pretty low, but not a bad idea at all. Armand says, I wish Sproat would get caught up and add him to the bullpen, and I think that's a real possibility. Again, with Brazaban on the injured list and them trying to figure out what's up with his oblique, I think Ryan Stanek is a prime candidate to be left off of any postseason roster. Again, knock on wood that we should make it there. So I'm not so sure that Stanek's on this team, and I do believe that Sproat is going to get called, and he is going to get an opportunity to pitch a little bit out of the pen here in September and be a part of the postseason roster if he performs well. I would not be surprised by that at all. Absolutely. Detroit, Cincy, and Philly coming up. Not going to be easy. Got to earn it 100%, guys. The schedule does not get easier. This is supposed to be the easier portion with 4 games against the Marlins, but you know what? We took advantage of Philly at home. I don't see why the Mets can't, at the very least, split in Philly. It's not going to be good enough. Let's be honest. You got to win 3 out of 4. You really ideally got to sweep. That's just not going to happen. You're not going to sweep a 4-game series in their house. It's just not going to happen. I'm being realistic. Maybe, but probably not. But we could beat Philly. I know that. Detroit has not been the same team that they were the first 2 or 3 months of the season either. And Cincy has been really kind of struggling lately. And I know they're a pretty decent team, and they really took it to us at Citi Field when they won 2 out of 3. But I'm not exactly worried about Cincinnati at this point, especially not in terms of head-to-head matchup. But let me go over here, and we're going to listen to what everybody has to say, including, of course, from the man of the hour himself, Jonah Tong. Guys, go ahead, leave this video a like if you have not already. Go ahead, do that right now. Really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed, do that as well. Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every Mets game. So let's go over to SMY and hear what they had to say. But sound off in the chat. Let me know, guys. What do you think? What's your impression of Jonah Tong here in his first start? I think it was solid. I think it was good. I think he's going to be way better. I mean, he is going to get way, way better, obviously, with more time in the big leagues. And I think this was just a really strange game to be making your debut in with a 12-run lead by the second inning and the amount of time that he sat in between those innings. So we're going to definitely see some really fun, great things out of Jonah Tong, in my opinion. But let me go back over to the chat real quick before we listen to what the guys have to say. CB2420, or I'm sorry, Polar Pete, you think Tong struggled a bit because after everything he pitched probably got cold since he, exactly. I think that was possible. I think he was already kind of nerved up for this game and, you know, had all those feelings going. And I think that was kind of why he didn't have the most pinpoint command that he was said to have by scouts. And then I think just sitting for, I mean, almost a half an hour in between the first and second inning, and then another half an hour at least in the second inning when the Mets put 7 runs on the board, that definitely affects a pitcher, and no more than it possibly could for a guy making his MLB debut in front of his home crowd. So yes, I definitely think that was the case, Polar Pete. CB24203, Philly fans would absolutely lose their minds if the Mets swept them at home. I mean, at that point, like, I would almost just feel bad for Philly fans. Keyword almost. I would never feel bad for the Phillies or any of the fans of the Philadelphia teams. But wow, wow, could you imagine? I mean, these freaking Braves, are you kidding me, man? The Braves only put up one freaking run against them tonight. Like, show a little. They had 12 hits and they lost 2-1. The Phillies had 6 hits. Like, are you freaking kidding me? The Braves can take it to us, come back from down 6-0 or whatever it was that game a couple weeks ago, and then the freaking Braves go to Philadelphia and forget how to play baseball. But it is a 5-game lead for the Mets for the 3rd wild card spot, and I don't want to look too far ahead, but they're 2.5 behind San Diego for the 2nd spot, and they're 3.5 behind Chicago for the 1st wild card spot. So is it realistic they're going to leapfrog Chicago, get the top wild card spot? No, very unlikely in my opinion. I think a better chance for the Phillies solely because they have those 4 head-to-head matchups with them still. But the Mets could end up in that 2nd wild card spot. I don't think that's out of the question, although San Diego is obviously a pretty good team, as we know, unfortunately, all too well. Let's see. Sprout says, Armand says Sprout would have to be caught up before September so he could be eligible for the playoff roster. Yes, exactly. And I think they're going to call him up tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow is what, the final day of the month, or is there no, I forgot, is it 31 days in August? But I think that they're going to give him the call. I really do. And they're going to see what he could do out of the bullpen. And then from there, you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you give yourself the luxury, the option come playoff time, if you want to put him on the playoff roster, but not if you don't call him up here before September. So I think just hedging your bets, the smartest move is to give him that final spot that has just been the rotating door of Justin Hageman and Hergert and all the other guys that we have called up to give us some innings in the middle of, you know, long stretches of baseball. So I think that spot is going to go to Sprout before the end of August. Wouldn't be surprised to wake up to that news tomorrow, if I'm being honest, guys. Let's see. Absolute Tong couldn't sit still in the dugout. He was standing up the whole time like he was in Little League. I know, right? Well, most pitchers, unless you're one of those psychos like Max Scherzer that you just sit in the corner away from your teammates and don't talk to anybody, they're usually standing. They're usually trying to keep loose. Hard to keep loose with that many runs being put up on the board in your favor. So yeah, definitely just kind of a weird start, I think, for him. CB, the Braves are trained to do whatever hurts the Mets. Oh my God, that is the most true statement I think I have ever read in my life, CB. Whatever they can do to make the Mets and their fans go through misery is the Braves' modus operandi. I mean, it's just like, thank you for nothing, Atlanta. Thank you so freaking much. Even that final game of the series down there in the ATL, where they come back and beat us just barely. I mean, thank you so much, Braves, for absolutely nothing. All right, let's see. Armand, yes, 31 days in August. Okay, I always mix it up. 31 days in August. So they have until, I guess, Sunday to make the call, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if they just preeminently do it tomorrow or at the latest Sunday. It would be a huge shock to me if David Stearns does not call up Sprout and give him the opportunity, the option of putting him on the playoff roster. I would be really shocked and, quite frankly, very disappointed, because why not? Why not just give him a couple innings out of the pen, see how it goes, and if it goes well, great, put him on the playoff roster. If it doesn't, well, okay, no big deal. No big deal. He got his first cup in the big leagues. We'll see if he's ready to start on the big league roster next year. Jose Lopez Moya Mendoza almost turned this game into a travesty, a joke when Terens pitched. I got to be honest, I'm not a fan of that, guys. I really was not a fan of putting Luis Terens on the mound there in the 9th inning. I don't care if it was 19-4. I don't care if it was 190-4. You don't. You're giving a lot of motivation to the other team. I think it doesn't sit very well with me. And I know the Mets end up obviously winning very handily still, but I did not like seeing Luis Terens pitch in that 9th inning. Military Mike says LGM, absolutely, with the Big Apple. We love it. Thank you, Military Mike. Appreciate you, man. Let's see. Jose Lopez Moya says, does Tong even shave yet? Absolutely not. I will put a $1 million on that, and there is no way Jonah Tong is growing facial hair at this point. But I said it, I don't care what they look like, just be good players for the Mets. Doesn't matter to me. Let's see. Silly Mazzilli 86. What's up? Impressive outing by Tong, but I need to see a few more to get excited. I agree. And, you know, I don't think it was a dominant outing by any means. I think, again, weird with all the runs being scored, all the, you know, him sitting and up downs for him. But the guy's got the goods. From everything everyone has said across baseball, not just the Mets scouts, the guy looks like he has all the potential in the world to be one of the top frontline pitchers in baseball. May not happen right away, but definitely a nice little beginning for his career. Edward Christian Aquan, what is up, my man? I haven't seen you in a little while. Great win today. Bats ready. All heating up. Vientos and Nimmo getting hot lately. Jonah looks good in his debut. Defense needs to improve. 100% defense needs to improve. Obviously, it doesn't cost them the game today, but hey, it cost them the game yesterday. So defense has not exactly been so great for this team over the last week or so. So hopefully they tighten that up. And he says, when we need Sproat, I'm with it. Bring in Sproat. Terens made Stanek look like Sandy Koufax CB24203 with the dunk from the top rope. Yeah, he did. I would have started with Stanek in that inning immediately, but whatever. Again, the Mets win the game, so not going to be too upset about it. But let's go ahead and listen to what Tong had to say about his debut. And again, Jose Lopez Moya, you're 100% right. There's no way this kid shaves.
Trying to get you to the finish line.
Yeah, that last pitch, I don't even think I remember. Everything got a blur after, and it was when I was like, I couldn't hear myself talk, which is a new one. But that was fans are amazing. So
yeah. I mean, couldn't hear himself talk. Obviously, the fans are amazing. We know that. But, I couldn't imagine going out there making my debut in front of a sold-out Citi Field again in the middle of a pennant race. And don't forget, following on the footsteps of what Nolan McLean has done and with all the hype around Tong, just crazy stuff, but really seemed to hold his composure for a 22-year-old kid. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous.
What was the feeling as you were walking to the dugout after that fifth inning?
I couldn't really feel my feet, but again, everything I ever dreamed of. So.
Yeah, if he does develop a slider, he's going to be tougher, says Jose Lopez Moya. I don't know what his full pitch mix is. Let's go to StatCast and actually take a look, see what he did here today. They should have it already up here. I hope they do, but otherwise we can get a pretty good idea from what we've seen from him in the minor leagues. But let's see. No, they don't have it. That's frustrating. I wish they did so we could go through it. But baseball report, 52 pitches. All right, so this was his last time in AAA. Yeah, I don't really want this. He threw 14 curveballs, 3 changeups, and then the majority were fastballs. Range of 74.9 miles per hour to 94.5 miles per hour, which obviously is the four-seamer. The changeup, I guess, is somewhere in the 85 range. Yeah, right around here. These green dots here, and then the blue dots here. 75 is that curveball. But yeah, it seems like every dominant starting pitcher needs to have a really good slider or a sweeper these days. We've seen what Nolan McLean has done, having movement to both sides of the plate and being able to locate northwest, plus having a really nice fastball. But then you look on the flip side of it, and you look at Ryan Helsley, who had some comments today. Look at this. Are you kidding me? This freaking camera. Oh my God. What are we doing here, guys? This ring light is killing me. Give me a sec. Let me fix this. All right, that should be better. Let me just make sure I'm framed up. I know you guys can't stand looking at this mug, but all right, that's good. That's good. Anyway, feels like you need to have a good sweeper or slider. You can't just have that plus fastball. Helsley saying today, I don't know if you guys saw that, but he said, not to be arrogant, but I feel like my stuff is too good to be getting hit this hard all the time. And I'm sure he was actually just kind of feeling down on himself and everything, and I can respect that. But it's the truth, guys. They can hit 100 miles per hour in the big leagues. You need to have more than just a nice fastball. So it would be nice to see Tong add a sweeper or a slider into his arsenal, and we'll see what the Mets pitching lab has cooking up. But guys, leave this video a like if you have not already. Appreciate you all being here. Let's go back to the chat. Silly Mazzilli, no doubt he has great stuff. He definitely does. But let's see where he goes from here. I have very high hopes. I'm very excited. We'll see if he puts it together here in the first little cup of coffee in the final month of the season. We may not see the full true breakout till next year, but if he pitches well and McLean continues to pitch well, there is no question about it that both of them have to be included in any starting rotation should the Mets make the playoffs. And I always say should because I never want to assume with this team, but I think that will be the case. Polar Pete, Mets own the Phillies, Phillies own the Braves, and the Braves own the Mets. And the Marlins are kind of not far behind owning them. Not actually, but, the Marlins give us troubles. It makes no sense. I've said this so many times about the National League East. It's just like a crapshoot. Every team seems to own one of the other teams who owns the other teams who gets owned by the other. It's just insane. Nothing about the National League East makes sense. It's absolutely drunk. Nothing from Mendoza I wanted to hear. All right, let's see what he had. And this is it, guys. So as we heard earlier, commenter, I think it was Armand, right? Said that the Mets will include... Jonah Tong and McLean in the rotation moving forward.
That's the plan, but it'll be fluid. Obviously we got some off days coming up after the Detroit series, but
it's the right move, Mendy.
He'll make another one.
And I mean, there was really nowhere else to go because you didn't want to disrupt their routine and put either of them into the bullpen. And obviously, with how well McLean has pitched, there was no doubt he was not getting taken out. But just one slider thrown by Tong today. So now we have the full pitching usage: 59 fastballs, 24 changeups, 13 curveballs, and 1 slider. He recorded 8 outs on the fastball, 5 on the changeup, and 2 on the curveball, and then none on the slider, which obviously he only threw 1 slider tonight. So it would be nice to see him mix in that slider a little bit more differential there in terms of his breaking pitches. But overall, pretty impressive start for the young man. Let's see, what else do we got? I'm just going to embrace the journey, have fun with it. No? All right. Well, let me go back to the chat, and then I think we're going to preview tomorrow's game, guys, and hopefully the Mets are going to make it 2 in a row and on their way to taking care of business against the Marlins over this final 3 games of the weekend. But sound off, guys. How you feeling? What is your impression of Jonah Tong? Let me know in the comment section here. Leave this video a like. Appreciate you guys very much. Armand says Sprout would have to be caught up. Oh, I'm sorry. That was from before. Let's see. Polar Pete, Mets on the Phillies, Phillies on the Braves. All right, I already got to that one. All right, so let's go take a look at tomorrow's matchup. The Mets looking to make it 2 in a row. We will probably not get any help from the Braves because they absolutely blow and would never do the Mets any favors. So thanks a lot for that one, Atlanta. Not. Tomorrow it'll be David Peterson on the bump taking on Edward Cabrera, same thing, right? Eduardo is Spanish for Edward, right? So there you go. Peterson, 3.18 ERA on the season over 25 starts, has logged 150 innings. That may actually be the first time Peterson has logged that many innings. It is easily far and away. Last year, 121. The most highest after that was 2023 with 111. So he is far over his innings, but we know he is a horse. 3.18 ERA on the year. His last time out, Peterson was going up against the Braves where he went 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs on 5 hits. That's where he ran into some trouble there in the 6th, and the Braves were able to get back into that one and eventually win the final game of the series last weekend. So overall, pretty good stuff from Peterson lately, with the exception of that other start against the Braves at home where the Mets blew that 6-run lead. But for the most part, it's been a pretty solid August. It gets a little inflated because of that start where he gave up those 6 runs, but overall for the month, 29 innings pitched and has a 4.66 ERA. Obviously, again, it would be so much different had he not had that blow-up 4th inning against Atlanta at Citi Field a few weeks ago. But taking on Peterson is going to be Edward Cabrera. Cabrera was actually someone that many contenders, including the Mets, had inquired about with the Marlins trading for at the deadline. He has turned in a really nice 2025, 3.32 ERA over 23 starts. Pretty decent whip at 1.18. So limits the base runners for the most part. Right-hander, as we know, his last time out when it got up against Atlanta, just 1 hit in 7 innings for the young man against the Braves, which maybe is not that impressive anymore because the freaking Phillies only gave up 1 run on 12 hits to the Braves today, and I think only 3 or 4 runs yesterday. So maybe the Braves lineup is not as good as we all thought it was going to be, but nice outing for him last time. But before that, 2 really rough ones where he got beaten up. 4 earned runs against St. Louis and 5 against Cleveland over a combined 9 innings. So look, guys, the Mets need to take care of business. That is the bottom line with this one for sure. I hope they don't give us any heartache tomorrow. I hope they clean up the fielding. But overall, it's a nice day today. It would have been nicer if the Phillies had lost, but the Reds do lose. We see the debut of Jonah Tong. The Mets bats absolutely explode for a ridiculous performance on the scoreboard. Not a bad day at the office whatsoever. Let me go back to the chat here as we wrap things up. Jose Lopez Moya, I hope that McLean, Tong, and Sprout, when he comes up, are not turned into 6-inning starters, derailing their full development. I mean, that unfortunately is kind of just the way Major League Baseball goes nowadays. Unfortunately, they protect these guys. They don't want to see these big investments end up getting hurt, and we'll see. But hopefully these guys just continue to develop as really quality pitchers, and hopefully the length will come with it as well. I'm right there with you, Jose. I get it. Jimmy James C. Reds lost in 10. That is right. thank you to the Cardinals for taking care of business there out in Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Armand, I'll be at tomorrow's game. Hell yeah, man. I hope you have a great time. Unfortunately, I will not be at any more games at Citi Field this year, with the exception of playoff games. If the Mets are in the playoffs, I will definitely be heading back home to New York for a game or two. So we'll see. Let's get there first, right? Military Mike, love this kid. Very humble. Hoping Peterson, Sangam, and Aya are inspired and motivated now 100%. See what McLean has done, to see what Tong has done. I hope it is just injected some life into this pitching staff specifically. We've seen how the Mets offense has responded. I mean, you can't fully maybe attribute it to the young pitchers coming up, but hopefully this will kind of rub off on the rest of that pitching staff. And we've heard Ron Darling say it before as well, and I think it was a lot when it was around the era of Syndergaard and Harvey and DeGrom and Wheeler and Matt being like, you know, oh, you went 6 innings today? I'm going to go 6 innings today, or I'm going to go 7. I'm going to outdo you. So hopefully that little internal competition does push the rest of the veterans in this rotation, and we get the best out of them here in this final month stretch. But guys, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to wrap things up here. Always a great time. Again, appreciate you guys. You've gotten me to double my subscriber count since the start of the 2025 season, and I can't thank you enough for it. Really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. Let me say my extra thank yous to those that commented. Thank you to Armand. Thank you to Earl D. Thank you to Absol. Thank you to CB24203. Thank you to Madeline Schmidt. Thank you to Polar P20. Thank you to Elvin Solano. Thank you to Mark Rapp, formerly Mark Rappacoluccio or something. I couldn't say it still. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Jose Lopez Moya. Thank you to Military Mike. Thank you to Silly Mazzilli 86. And I think that is everybody. And Jimmy James C, of course, at the buzzer. And thank you to Jimmy James C. And if you didn't comment, thank you for watching, guys. Send this to a Mets fan that you know, that you love, that loves the Mets. Appreciate it so much for helping me out here, guys. Thank you very much. That's going to do it for today. But another post-game recap after Game 3 of this series. Mets and Marlins. David Peterson taking on Edward Cabrera. We'll be right back here on the channel. Until then, though, guys, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.